Hey folks, Lemonade here, and as you see in the title of the video, this is my first ever Finalmouse. Is this brand deserving of its legendary hype? Is it my new... Don't forget to like and sub down below. It does really help the channel out a lot. Thanks. All right, we're going to put these specs up like we normally do right here for you folks. Now, there are a few hundred videos about this brand and the mouse out there all over YouTube. Finalmouse has had many iterations and colorways of the Starlight series with slight variations internally along the way, but it's essentially the same mouse, kind of. I mean, I love this new design and colorway personally, and we have a few notable changes on this which we will cover. But since I don't have an older Starlight to compare, I'm just going to have to go off of what I've seen from the community feedback in general to see if things are better with the last Legend. Now, in terms of the unboxing and the stuff inside, I'm not going to go over it too much because it's the same as every other Starlight. Quick note on the box, I would have expected kind of a higher quality unboxing experience, something like we've seen in the Lamzu Atlantis. I mean, this is an expensive product at the end of the day, and it has limited quantities, so I was a bit let down there. On the inside, the only difference, as you've probably seen across the internet, is a glass card with an access code that I won't be showing on the video to purchase their new centerpiece keyboard launching later this year, which I will be grabbing for review. Okay, quick note on these Infinity skins that you get in the box. I've seen a lot of people have some real hype for these, and I just don't see it. I mean, they do work really well, but they're just a bit too thick. Even on the thinnest 1.2 millimeter, they just sit a bit awkward on the mouse, and the edges having a bit of a lip since they don't sit totally flush to the surface. I don't know, it just kind of takes away from the overall look and premium feel of the last Legend. If you really do need grips, I highly recommend Corepad grips. They are the thinnest I have tested, and I've pretty much tested them all, and they still provide a nice texture. That said, I'm not really sure this mouse needs them. The coating of this magnesium is great, and the holes don't bother me at all, and they even provide a bit of an extra kind of lock-in points. What I really want to focus on this review are these points. How is the QC after so many versions of this mouse? Is the magnesium material overhyped? Micro USB in 2023, do I play better with it, and is it worth the price? And in the video, I'll be comparing it to my X2 Mini because it's currently the mouse that has been my go-to for a few months and holds my #1 spot for fingertip grip. Pulsar has been also jumping into the limited drop model like we see here with the Rotor Box edition and the recent Bruce Lee edition, among others. Okay, so let's start with QC. I did test this mouse a full 2 weeks to really see what would happen, and we have some issues. So I ordered 2 of them, one for me obviously, and one to resell. The one I sold, I did not open beforehand, and the buyer told me that his copy also had some of what I'm going to report here. So first off is the scroll wheel centered. Kinda, but no. So as you'll see in this video, you can see the scroll wheel swaying from left to right as I turn it, almost like a car wheel with a messed up axle, which the buyer of the second mouse had a little of this effect as well. On the bright side, if I wasn't looking at it, I wouldn't actually feel this shifting as I scroll, nor did it affect the feel of the scroll clicking. Also, so everyone is aware, they did move from the TTC Silver encoder to a TTC Gold encoder. Beyond that, everything felt really great initially. They did go back to Omron 20M switches for this version, and I actually really like the feel of Omrons personally, so these do not disappoint. At first they were a little bit stiff due to the magnesium shell, but that loosened up a little bit to a very comfortable feel after about a day or two. Tensioning feels great all around, including the side buttons with normal pre and post travel compared to other mice. But then another issue arose a few days later. Creaking and flexing, specifically on the left side or right about here. For reference, the entire mouse is magnesium besides this bottom plate, which is made of plastic or what they call ultim. They need to do that for a clear RF signal transmission to the USB receiver. Did the creaking and flexing affect me in game? No. But did it bother me for a $200 mouse? Yes. But it's not exclusive to Finalmouse. I've had creaking start to develop on my X2 Mini as well, and even the new Atlantis Mini that I just received earlier this week. And that's fresh out of the box. Take a listen. Now, as you heard, the Finalmouse was probably the quietest or most non-existent compared to these two, but I did kind of fix that, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But again, this is a $200 mouse that is an exclusive one-of-one numbered edition versus things that I can fairly regularly get, besides, of course, this Rotobox edition, which is also limited edition. So I saw on their Discord, if you tighten the screws on the base, it can help with that. And since I was going to swap out the stock skates anyway for my usual Corpad Air skates, it was worth me trying. By the way, on that note, I was actually fine with the stock skates. They felt especially nice on glass mouse pads, so I don't think you need to swap them out. It's just a personal preference. And while I was going to unscrew the mouse anyway, I decided to look inside to see if there's anything I can do about this scroll wheel. So while I was inside, as you can see in the footage here, I was trying to see what I can do with this scroll wheel. And it seems to be just kind of leaning to the left towards that scroll wheel click, which is why I think it kind of has that wobbly effect. I don't know, I may have to order some parts or reseat the whole thing. And again, that's just probably a project for another day. After that, I went to close it up and attempt to fix the creak and flex. And this took a bit of messing around. There is only one way to put the mouse together, obviously, but it's surprisingly particular. I reattempted this a handful of times to get a proper tight fit, and finally did. The contact point from the magnesium shell and the Ultim base is a very narrow lip of plastic from the base itself, so if you don't get it right on, it can cause more creaking or flexing as the magnesium and plastic are kind of rubbing or bumping against each other, and I'm assuming this will just slightly shift enough over time to happen again. I fixed this a few days ago and it's fine now, obviously, as you heard in that sound test. Anyway, I hope on their next mouse they kind of thicken this area up a little bit to help minimize and bolster the potential side flex or creaking. Now, beyond those two issues, nothing else really came up. I mean, no double clicking has come up, and the sensor performance with the newest Competition Plus firmware has been incredibly consistent. Like when I compare it to the 3395 and the Compax setup on my X2 Mini, it's just a tighter spread in each category here. Now, does it stand out when you're comparing that in-game? No, but I think the important point here is that Finalmouse have fine-tuned the sensor performance incredibly well, and that just proves that throwing a 3395 into a mouse doesn't default make it better, so kudos for Finalmouse on improving on this. Okay, so is this magnesium shell overhyped? Hell no. Man, I love this material. I really didn't think it would be that interesting, but when I picked this mouse up, it's just a league of its own. The cool initial touch and the texturing is so perfect. It's the first mouse in a while I have used without grip tape. It's airy and obviously helps with getting it down in weight to those ridiculous levels, but more importantly, it gives a fantastic rigid feeling. Well, once I address that side flex issue. For example, my Sora over here is at 47 grams and it's a pure solid plastic mouse with no holes. I do admit it's built incredibly well, But when I compare it to the Finalmouse, it just kind of feels cheap in comparison, a bit more hollow, and the coating is just a non-existent kind of plain plastic feeling. Okay, now we have this cable. Yeah, it's freaking micro USB. And listen, I'm with everyone in saying that in 2023, this should not be the case. Hell, even in 2022, but Finalmouse has one saving grace: the battery life. It's absolutely ridiculous on this thing. So I charged this the first day and have used it ever since, every single day to game and for office work for over 2 weeks at this point now, with it ready to go up to 1 or 2 months depending on usage, or averaging about 3 weeks. That's a step above any other mouse on my desk. Usually I have to charge a mouse once a week, or some even like around 5 days or so, like my X2 Mini. So yeah, it's annoying that they're still using micro USB, but if I only have to plug this thing in like once a month, honestly, I don't even care. That said, Finalmouse, just give us USB-C on the next mouse. I'll take the extra 1 or 2 grams of weight. So do I play better with this? Yes. Now, this point is highly personal, and the main factor is always shape. It's just truly a perfect fingertip grip mouse without getting into that kind of weird HSK style territory. You will keep a full mouse shape here, kind of FK inspired, but with flatter sides, of course. Now, similar to the X2 Mini, the difference mainly being this kind of higher rear hump profile, but with its overall size and low front buttons, it still makes a fantastic fingertip mouse. That said, the lower hump here, coupled with the lower weight, just makes the last legend more optimal for me. I hit personal records on some of my scenarios in AIM Labs and just felt performance in Battlefield and Overwatch felt a bit amped up over my usual gameplay. But does that make the X2 Mini awful? No, 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 which leads us to the price. So is it worth $200 and you sweating to buy one of these the minute it drops, or worse, paying $300 or more on eBay? No, it's not. It's not going to immediately make you some aim god, and you shouldn't feel bad if you can't buy one. That said, value is pretty hard to talk about when it comes to any product, but especially high-end products. There are a lot of products like mechanical keyboards, MacBooks, Ferraris, Louis Vuitton bags that aren't really quote-unquote worth it compared to their cheaper competitors, but some folks just want something that's exclusive, has unique materials, a certain look or performance benefits. Maybe you're even a collector. In the end, shaming people for enjoying a product is totally unnecessary, and we see a lot of it with this brand. Now, specifically speaking for the small version here, if you use fingertip grip, you want a hype limited edition product with a unique look, class-leading battery life, and tight performance, all packaged in this incredible magnesium body, and you got pretty much $200 or more to spend, and that's a non-issue for you, then go for it. It's fantastic. Even with the QC issues, I absolutely will be maining it, and I guess I'm drinking the Finalmouse Kool-Aid. But before you spit roast me, Finalmouse haters, if you truly want a fingertip mouse that also runs unique looking limited drops but has regular stock always available for like less than half the price, grab an X2 Mini. It's still going to be my overall recommendation for like 99% of people. Pulsar is truly a brand to watch, especially in 2023. Good news though for people interested in the Finalmouse brand though, they have announced their new ultralight X mice coming in the spring. I won't get into all the details, but one big takeaway is they are looking to make them more accessible and have always in stock versions so everyone can buy one, and that is a huge plus in my book. I just hope for a bit tighter QC on these new models. And on that note, folks, all my socials are down below, along with any affiliate links and discount codes. If you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. But until that next Fresh Squeeze video, stay thirsty, folks.